John Farrakhan was quite influential in Chucky's life. He wants to share from his memory.
I was doing pretty well until I heard the words to that song. Wow. Beautiful. Chuck asked that today be festive, that it be celebratory, and that's easier said than done, my friend, but I'm going to give it my best. I first encountered Chuck 38 years ago. I was in the 10th grade. I was 16 years old, and I walked into Mr. Ochai's karate school to train one night. He summoned me into his office, and it was there that I was introduced to Chuck's parents and to Chuck. And it was explained to me that Chuck had been struck by a drunk driver when he was 4, that his head had been locked under the front wheels of that car, where he was there for 45 minutes before they could extricate him, rendering him brain damage. He had been in a coma for 2 years and a cerebral palsy clinic for 3, and he had been told that he would never walk without his walker. Mr. Ochai said to me, Mr. Farrakhan, part of your test for your first degree black belt is going to be to get rid of that walker for this young man. And I said, yes, sir. So every day, 5 days a week, at 4 o'clock, from 4 to 5, Mr. Ochai would come out on the floor, and he would give me a prescription of exercises to help Chuck build his center of gravity, and his balance, and his strength. And at the end of 3 months, it was almost like pulling a canvas off a sculpture. And we took the walker away for the first time, and for the first time, Chuck walked back and forth without his walker. And there were maybe 150 people there, and they were applauding, and people were laughing, and his mother hugged me. She was crying. She kissed me. She said, thank you so much. I said, well, I appreciate that, but please go hug Mr. Ochai. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, except for what he told me. It was through that experience, ladies and gentlemen, through that human exchange that I shared with Chuck, that I found my calling as a teacher. So I owe Chuck for the 30 years of bliss that I've enjoyed in the classroom. So some years went by. I went off to college to get my degree and my master's degree, and Chuck was coming up through the middle school, the high school. I get hired at Maine Endwell in 1984. On my first day in the building, I'm walking down the hall, and I see this young man coming down the hall. He's doing really well, a little bit of a wobble, but doing really well. And I recognize him immediately, and I stopped him. I says, hi, are you Chuck McFadden? He says, yes, I am. I says, do you know who I am? He says, no. I says, my name's John Farrakhan. He said, oh, Mr. Farrakhan, it's so good to see you. And he hugs me, and so whenever I hear Chuck running down the hall going, I'm Chuck McFadden, I'm invincible, no one can stop me, I would just stop, and I'd quietly smile to myself. I get this very warm feeling in my heart, and then I'd send him to detention. And little did I realize back then that although I had played the role of his teacher, Chuck would turn out to be one of the greatest teachers of my life. I cannot tell you how many crowds rose to their feet over the past 30 years hearing Chuck tell the story of being struck by a drunk driver. He let thousands of people know that statistics are real people with real lives and real faces. His message was never one of self-pity, never once. Never one of the victim, but rather one of courage, one of being strong in the face of adversity, and one of appreciation of the life that he had. He reminded every one of us that life is a precious, precious gift. And he encouraged us by his actions not to take a single breath for granted. For those of us who are trying to help Chuck become more prudent with his money, we often found ourselves pounding our heads against the wall as he would buy yet another color television for somebody he felt was in need. But Chuck just had to be true to himself. He believed that charity took precedence over everything else in his life. But man, he could be stubborn. On New Year's Eve, I went in to see Chuck. He says, Chuck, I've got a great idea for a New Year's resolution for you. He says, what is it, Mr. Paragon? I says, for you to become less stubborn. He's like, okay, what's yours? I said, mine, Chuck, is to help you become less stubborn. You know what? You know what? Those of us who knew Chuck well know that that stubborn streak served him throughout his whole life. It enabled him to not only face, but to overcome many, many painful obstacles that were placed in his path. With his stubbornness came inspiring determination. You know, for all the contributions that Mr. Ochai has made to humanity, when he's interviewed on television for a national magazine, and he's asked, what is your proudest accomplishment in this life? He always says, helping an 8-year-old boy learn to walk without his walker. That, he says, is his greatest achievement. Mr. Ochai was here earlier. If you were here, he came to pay his respects to Chuck. And he asked me to say on his behalf, the way Chuck lived his life, the way that he overcame adversity again and again and again, made him, in Mr. Ochai's eyes, the truest, shining example of what it means to be a black belt. And he brought a black belt tonight for me to present to Chuck's sister so that it could be buried with him. The belt has Chuck's name embroidered here. And then Michelle will help me now. I'd like to place this over Chuck's urn. Okay? Speaking of Chuck's seemingly bottomless well of unrelenting benevolence, we were at Lord's walk-in waiting for one of his appointments, and he just leans over to me and says, you know, Mr. Perko, I don't have $1 in the bank, and I am so happy. There's a powerful lesson. At that same appointment, he said to me, it was so nice to meet your mother last night at Marty's benefit, one of our custodians in Maine who was diagnosed with 4th stage prostate cancer. He said, it was so nice to meet her. Actually, what he said was, that was awesome. That's what he said. He said to me, how old is your mother? I said, 84. He says, okay, so she was born 1928. I was like, that's right. He says, that's when Woodrow Wilson was president. I'm like, that's right, Chuck. And he looks at me and goes, Mr. Paragon, I'm brain damaged. I'm not stupid. All right. I was like, okay. I knew that. Duly noted, my friend. His keen wit and his timing were impeccable. I can't tell you how many times I told him, I said, Chuck, you could have had a career as a stand-up comic. And he had what I call a sleeper sense of humor. If you weren't absolutely focused, you could slip right under the radar. He did say to me one day in the car, he said, Mr. Perko, I'm not complaining, I'm not. But if I do get a chance to meet God, my first question is going to be, yo, God, what's up with what happened to me? Very, very high level humor, actually. So about 6 weeks ago, after the beautifully spirited Mrs. Angela Sparrow and I had been taking turns taking Chuck to the walk-in clinic in Endicott for what we thought was pneumonia, Chuck called me and he said, Mr. Perko, I'm in agonizing pain. I can't get off the floor of my apartment. I said, okay, I'll be right over. So it took some effort. We got into the car and we went to Wilson. And they ran a series of tests. We were there for a couple hours, and Mrs. Sparrow came to relieve me from. I ran out to get something to eat. She called me. She says, "You need to come back. The doctors need to talk to you," because I had the honor of being his healthcare proxy. And this doctor, after running these tests, summoned me into the hall with this ashen look on his face. He said, "Mr. Paragon, I have really, really bad news about Chuck." I said, "Okay, what is it, doctor?" He said, "His body is riddled with cancer. His brain, his lungs, his spine, his liver, his spleen, his kidneys." He says, "I've been practicing medicine 36 years. I've never seen x-rays like this." I said, Doctor, may I please sit with him. When you tell him, he says, absolutely. So I sat on Chuck's bed, I put my hand on his back, and the doctor told Chuck what he told me, and Chuck looked just like this, with absolute poise and grace and dignity. He didn't even blink. He looked at the doctor and said, okay, thank you, doctor. I'm sorry you had to tell me that. That's going to be very hard for you to do. Even in that moment, his concern was for what the doctor was feeling. When the doctor left the room and we were alone, Chuck turned to me and he pierced me with his eyes. He said, you know, Mr. Carahone, I've had a great life. I've been blessed. I've had a great life. He said, I've had the honor of meeting Mr. Ochai and you and your lovely family and the Spares and the Brzezinskis and the list went on. He said, I'm good with God. He said, what more can any man ask for? What more could any man ask for? He says, I have a clear conscience. He said, if it's my time to die, I'm okay with that too. I'm at peace. I have no fear. He said, this is just a small speed bump on the way to my finale. A mere scratch, he said. A mere scratch. Only Chuck could speak about his impending mortality and quote Monty Python in the same sentence. I only hope, if I'm ever faced with a similar fate, that I can be 1/10 of the man that Chuck was at that moment. For all the lives that you touched with yours, Chuck, I say thank you. Thank you for the laughter. Thank you for being an angel in our midst. Thank you for being one of the greatest teachers any of us will ever know. We always ended our conversations either in person or over the phone with, love you, buddy. On behalf of all who are here and all who wished to be here, I say to you, Chuck, we all love you, buddy. Godspeed, my friend.